Hello, everyone. Welcome to our webinar today. My name is Kara Welke. I'm an occupational therapist and the creator of Next Level Occupational Therapy. So we help therapists across the United States start, build, and grow their own private practice, as well as we do a lot of continuing education events. We have a private practice event coming up in Boston, and that's actually how I got connected with the Korro team here. And after talking with them and getting a demo, I was super excited about learning more about how their tool analyzes brain, body, and behaviors of pediatrics and how it can be a great add-on value to those of you that have private practice. And I was also jealous that there is not something exactly like this to be used for geriatric population, since that's my specialty. But we do have some kiddos that we see in our practice. So without further ado, I'm just going to let the Corro team do their own introductions because they have, I think, about panelists, 3 or 4 panelists here today that will introduce, and this is specifically for occupational therapy, which I also think is pretty awesome. We are always looking at things that us as occupational therapists can utilize and help progress us out there in the world. So I'll have you guys go ahead and take over, and I'll just be on the side if you need anything.
Thank you so much, Kara. Thank you for hosting us. Good morning, everyone. I'm really excited to be here. I'll quickly introduce myself and the Korro team with us and talk a little bit about the agenda, and then we'll dive straight into the presentation. My name is Ami Prager. I'm a pediatric occupational therapist. I've been practicing for the past 27 years. I was one of the first Korro users about 3 or 4 years ago when they came out with their first experiences. Totally fell in love with the product. It was the first time as a practitioner using AI for me. And after seeing the amazing impact it had on my clients, I joined the team. Today, I'm directing the customer success team out of our offices in New York. Joining me today on the panel will be Professor Karen Jacobs, who is one of our leading expert advisors. She'll be talking towards the end of the presentation about research that she's conducting for us. Karen is a professor at Boston University, was also the former president of, the AOTA, and she conducts all of our research in Korro in the United States. Joining me as well is Dr. Andrea Hutchinson, who is the current Korro president in the US, and she is a child psychologist. And we have other team members, Nicole, Edith, Danielle are on the call as well. So what are we going to be talking about today? Our agenda, sorry about that. So first of all, we're going to talk a little bit about what is Korro and why did we create Korro, which is really interesting, how we, how this idea was born and why we decided to create Korro. Then we're really going to dive in and show you how it works. We're going to show you some of the games. We're going to show you how it collects data, what we do with that data, how it takes a lot of burden off your shoulders and creates reports from that data. So we'll really walk you through our platform and show you different parts of the platform. And then I'll hand over the mic to Karen, and she'll talk about research that was conducted in the United States and that is being conducted currently as well. And then we'll finish up and wrap things up by explaining how easy it is to get started, and then we'll leave some time for questions and answers. But feel free during the presentation to drop any questions in the chat, and we'll try to address all of those questions by the time we've finished. So let's kick off by what is Korro? So what is Korro AI? Korro AI, you can see over here, is an infrastructure or a platform. And being an infrastructure as a platform means that it's not just another app. It's not just a game. It's a platform where, like we like to call it, an AI across your clinic, which means it can take care of part of the admin aspects that you can see in the white squares on the screen. And that is something that we do as part of the platform. But what really makes us stand out are those squares that you can see are highlighted in the purple. And just go over really quickly what that platform looks like. So it starts by registering the clients or the patients and managing your clients, seeing who's working in clinic, at home, documentation, reporting, preparing all the data for billing. Those are the admin parts. And those are the easy parts. I mean, even though it's all AI based, those are the easy parts. What really makes us unique, and I think we're the only AI pediatric company in the world that does that is what's in that purple, which means Korro can deliver part of your therapy. I'm saying part because Korro is not meant to replace any practitioner, but it can deliver between 10 to 15 minutes of your therapy that is goal-based. All the goals are set to the practitioners, and create an AI-based just right challenge for every single child in your clinic and at home. It can deliver short and long-term therapy, all through gamified experiences. And everything that I'm talking about here on the platform, you're going to see on the different slides. And while the children are immersed in these gamified experiences, the front camera of any mobile device collects real-time data, and then we create all that documentation reporting on that data. So that, like in a nutshell, is a little bit about Korro as a platform. And since it's a platform, and this is really the great part, it constantly updates itself. We're constantly updating our platform. So almost every 6 weeks, you have new features, new games, new experiences. So anybody who decides to sign up today after the presentation is going to receive a really rich and amazing OT platform. But 3-4 weeks down the road, you're going to have more games, more features on it, because AI advances so fast. So we always want to make sure that all of our clients have the most updated technology at their fingertips every single time. And just one more thing before I go on to the next screen. Since it is an infrastructure, Korro is designed to unlock the child's potential during the most formative years of their lives. We all know that the early years aren't just important, they're really foundational. These are the years when the child's brain, body, and behavior are literally being wired for life. And that brain, body, and behavior, and Kara mentioned that as well, that's something she remembered from her presentation. That's something that you'll see, we'll be talking about that in different parts of the presentation. It's something that is extremely important for us to implement those 3 main aspects in all of our products and all of our games on our platform. And we know that what happens in these years really shapes everything. It shapes the way the kids are going to learn. It helps them develop emotional resilience, physical coordination, even their personal identity. And that's why we feel that these years are the most important years to give them that add-on of technology and the best technology possible, just to make sure that they're developing, just to their fullest potential. So why did we create Korro AI? We all know that we're facing a health crisis. We're in the midst of a health crisis. 25%, or what they usually like to say in our company meetings, 1 out of every 4 children in the US and youth face developmental challenges. And the number of clients or number of patients are rising, exceeding the capacity of existing practitioners. We hear this when we talk with our clients. We have clients in over 31 states in the US, that wait lists are getting longer. More and more clinics are starting to open up wait lists, even they didn't have them before, just because that number is constantly rising, and there are not enough practitioners. We know, who of you are clinic owners know how hard it is to replace a practitioner when they leave, and it doesn't matter what the reason was, if maternity leave or if they moved or got married, it's hard to find practitioners. Even harder to find practitioners that want to work full-time from the clinic and not from home. And that means that millions of children miss the support they need in the most critical years of their lives. And what really hit us hard is that kids receive therapy when a time slot opens up, but that's not when they need it the most. They could be on a wait list for a year, sometimes even more. And the result of that basically is that these children risk falling behind with long-term impacts on their learning, on behavior, and well-being. So our mission, and really this is the mission of the owner, but I think down to every single employee in the company, our mission is to close this gap and making therapy available, making therapy accessible to every child, doesn't matter where they are, what country they're in, or what state they live in, only by the use of a mobile device. So any family who has a mobile device, doesn't have to be a new one, it can be an old device, it could be an iOS device, an Android device, an iPhone 7, okay? Anyone who has an iPhone or a tablet or an iPad can have a care plan on their tablet, and they can start working on the skills that they need to improve. So what is our solution? Solution is AI. And what you can see on the screen right now is what we created is an personal AI therapist for every child and an AI assistant for every practitioner. I'm going to start with the practitioners. any practitioner using Korro in the clinic immediately receives an amazing, super intelligent AI assistant that never gets tired, never has a hard day, never is late for work, okay? Which means Korro will take a lot of the burden off your shoulders. Like I said, Korro will engage the child in the first 10, 15 minutes of your session in goal-based activities, goals that you set. It'll train and help them coach different skills that need to be improved. While they're engaged in those activities, Korro will track their movements, track their emotional aspects, cognitive aspects, document all of that. You don't have to write down a single letter, a single word, and then it'll sum all that up in a report for you. That's what an AI system does for practitioners. Now, the first sentence, the personal AI therapist for every child, that's a sentence, excuse my English, that freaks a lot of therapists out because they're saying, oh, so now AI is going to replace us. No. I would never, Karen would never, anyone here, so a practitioner in the company would never work in a company that sets out to replace practitioners. But we know that there are so many places where there's not a practitioner to be had. Just an example, on a wait list, there are no practitioners. When children have to practice for home caregiver in between sessions, there is no practitioner at home. That's where children receive that AI therapist. So we created the therapist and practitioner and the assistant for the practitioners, and that's the main part of the presentation. I'm going to show you what that AI therapist looks like and what that AI assistant looks like for the practitioner. So when we create the different Korro products, we have an amazing Korro Health leadership team and includes world leaders in healthcare and healthcare experts, world leaders in artificial intelligence, developmental doctors, engineers, clinicians, all committed to child development. On the board, and you can see on the screen, this is just one screen. We have a very, very large leadership board. You really find pioneers who shape the fields of AI, pediatrics, neurology, and public health. On the top left-hand corner, Mati Kochavi is the owner and founder of Korro. He's married to an occupational therapist. She's been an occupational therapist for 40 years, and I think he loves OT more than most OTs that I know myself. And just to have someone believe with all of his heart in OT and pediatric OT, for me, it was like a dream come true. And then we have different people working on different projects on Korro. Today, we're basically going to be talking about the OT platform, but we have other platforms that we're developing. Just for an example, with Dr. Wendy Silverman from Yale, developed a behavioral health platform. With Dr. Catherine Lord from UCLA, we're working on a platform for children on the autistic spectrum. With Dr. Annie Burns is leading our team up in the Silicon Valley. She's a pediatric expert working on different projects that we have in pediatrics. Professor Charles Nelson, really a world-leading expert in brain plasticity and early intervention, is working on a platform with us for early intervention. Professor Karen Jacobs, who was on this call, who is from Boston University, leading all of our research in the United States. She'll be talking a little bit later. And Dr. Andrea Hutchinson, who is the current president of Korro in the United States and also the chief medical officer, and she's a child psychologist. But we also have people who are not practitioners, like Professor Ezekiel Emanuel, who was a former White House advisor for the Obamacare, and Richard Burke was a founder and former chairman and CEO of United Healthcare. So what we'd like to do, and think of it this way, since we are a platform and we're an AI platform, imagine downloading the brains of everyone you see on the screen here and throw in another 100 practitioners that work with us. Downloading all those years of expertise and research onto our platform really means that when you start using Korro with kids in your clinic, it's as if the kids are receiving treatment from all of these people and all of their aggregated data together. So you're really providing the kids in your clinic with the most up-to-date, scientific, evidence-based practice there is to find in that whole realm of AI healthcare. So how does it work? We're going to start with a short movie. So I'll turn out just like a short introduction to Korro, who we are and why we created Korro. How does it work? We're going to start with a short movie. This movie was filmed in a clinic that's called Capable Kids. Clinic owner is Allison Stover. She was the former president of AOTA up until I think 2 months ago. They were one of our first clients about a year and a half ago, and you're going to see how Korro is being used in clinic and at home. It'll just give you a really good visual for the rest of the presentation. Okay, so I think that gave us all a really good visual of how Korro is used in clinic and at home. And now I'm going to show you the technology behind it, and then we're going to walk you through just a few slides, really walk you through the product that is being used, like I said, in over 31 states in the United States right now. And just to show you how easy it is to set up a client, set up a program, and what that looks like, and share some of the games that we have on it. And show you how how Korro tracks the data while kids are immersed in the game. So a little bit about the technology behind Korro. Like I said, all you need is a mobile device. There are absolutely no sensors, no cables, no add-ons at all. It could be an Android, iPhone, iOS, tablet, or iPad. And it can be older versions as well. Again, our mission is to provide access to as many children in the US and around the world. We also work in Europe and the Middle East, outside of the US, really wanting to provide access at the most easiest way without having to buy additional equipment. So what you're going to see is this child has her personal program that was set up by her practitioner on her phone. She's at home. She's placing the phone on like a coffee table, and what she sees is a rock wall. You'll see that game in a minute. She's climbing up the rock wall. But what you see in this video over here is how Korro sees her. This is how Korro analyzes a child while they're immersed in one of our activities. Everything you see on the screen is being analyzed simultaneously by the front camera. And it sounds really freakish, but we were able, and that's the beauty of the technology, at Korro, we were able to train the front camera to look at all of these different aspects in the eyes of a practitioner and then provide data according to this. So Korro will track physical aspects like gross motor, fine motor activities in the child's movements, facial expressions, body language, biosignals, heart rate, HRV, social interaction, like the child with a therapist, child with a caregiver, with objects. Korro can detect over 400 points on the child's face. So you can see like wrinkles and smiles and frowns from the emotional state of the child. It can detect over 190 points on the body, different joints and points. Like you can see those different lines and dots. But what it does with all of this data is it turns it into tangible terms that all of us as occupational therapists can understand. So you're not going to have like 400 different points being analyzed, but you're going to have objective scores for things like midline crossing, finger isolation, pincer grasp. You'll see that in just a minute. Now, while the child is playing, you can see she's smiling. She doesn't feel she's being analyzed. Korro analyzes the movements, like I said, the facial expressions and the cognitive aspects as well. And it is 100% HIPAA compliant, which means there's no video taking, picture taking, or video recording. It's just the analysis of the different, like we said, those 3 Bs: behavioral, body, and cognitive aspects of the child while they're immersed in one of the games, what we call the brain. So now I'm going to show you how easy it is to set up a program for the child. It takes usually a minute to do so. So the first step would be that any practitioner using Korro will set up personal goals for the child. So you can take goals. Our recommendation is to choose 3 or 4 short-term goals straight from your EMR, copy paste them right onto the Korro platform. You can see this is a dressing goal for winter. It could be a dressing goal, feeding goal, handwriting, fine motor, cognitive, emotional, whatever goal you're working on. And then when you enter the goals, we recommend up to 3 goals, and you can add on as many as you want. When you enter those goals, Korro will unlock skills, basically saying AI now kicked in for the first time, saying, hey, for this goal, being able to get fully dressed, here are the skills I recommend you work on: asymmetrical bilateral coordination, finger isolation, attention, motor control, motor planning, sequencing. And I think all of you listening right now and reading this off the screen can say, these are amazing skills. These are the skills that we need for dressing. But a practitioner can say, you know what, I want to see some secondary skills. So show me a longer list of skills. Every skill on the screen right now, Korro can address. So the practitioner can add or delete different skills. And once you inputted the goals and you decided on the final list of skills you want the child to work on, Korro will now create a personalized program for every child. That means a program was created successfully. What does that mean? Imagine a huge library of AI-based experiences or games, hundreds and hundreds of games and levels that we constantly update and add on more to that platform. You don't have to know what every game does and what every level delivers to the child, because AI will choose that for you. So at this point right now, Korro knows, okay, this child is 8. She's a girl. She has ADHD. Here are the goals a practitioner wants to work on. Here's a list of skills. Korro will handpick the games from the library and then present them to the child one after another during the session for the duration that you set. You can set it for 10 minutes, 15 minutes. We recommend 15 minutes. And those games will be presented one after another, all basically meeting the just right challenge for the child. We'll talk about that in just a minute. So this is little Alfie. There's a great story behind Korro. Alfie is a plant-like creature who fell off his planet. You can see that green planet, and he fell off onto the child's planet. We took kids off of Earth because we know they're having a hard time here. Hard time in school or kindergarten, wherever they're learning right now. Hard time at home. So they're the heroes of their mission on their planet. Kids dress themselves up in an astronaut suit. It could be a dinosaur suit. It could be a unicorn. We have different suits. They decide according to their mood what they want to dress up as. And they have one main mission: bring Alfie home. And how do they bring Alfie home? The only way to bring Alfie home is to finish a session that their occupational therapist set up for them, either in clinic or at home. And if it's a 5-minute, 10-minute, or 15-minute session, doesn't matter. They have to finish what they started. And then Alfie's rewarded with all kinds of things. You'll see that in just a minute. So that's a story behind Korro. Korro is meant to be used for the first 15 minutes, like I said, in the clinic. And the way the session opens up is that Korro interacts with the child. And the first thing that Korro will do is ask the child how they feel today. I want to share with you this short video, and then I'll move on a little faster explaining the other two.
Hey, let's play Name That Feeling. Tap how you feel right now. Happy. You feel happy. We all feel happy sometimes. How happy are you feeling? Really, really happy, like Alfie at the top? A little happy, like Alfie in the middle? Or just a tiny bit happy, like Alfie at the bottom? You're feeling really, really happy. You figured out what you're feeling and how big it is? Awesome work! Just noticing and naming feelings can help us understand them, and that makes big feelings easier to handle. You can use this tool anytime, anywhere.
So that's how a session will open up, by Korro asking the child how they feel, and according to the feeling and the intensity of the feeling, Korro will decide if the child needs some self-regulating tools to start with, or can start, just pass on. Like if they're really happy, or they're happy, they're feeling fine, whatever, we don't need the self-regulating part, then they can start their daily mission. But if not, let's say the child was sad, was upset, was angry, was frightened or whatnot, and the intensity was high, Korro can suggest different kinds of self-regulating activities. Power squeeze, or PMR, progressive muscle relaxation, is a more tension release technique where kids can release tension. I'll play this without sound so I can explain while you're watching. So kids basically have to tense up their muscles really, really hard. It looks like a self-hug, but it's much more than that. It's a really strong hug. They have to squeeze really, really, really hard. And then when the muscles are in like full tension, then Korro will prompt the child to take a deep breath. You see Alfie's face changes and relaxes, and we have different power squeezes. This is like melting an ice cube. We have roasting marshmallows, launching rocket ships, different kinds of techniques. Or if the child needs a more relaxing technique, not a tension release technique, but a relaxing technique, then Korro will prompt the child to play a breathing game. This is an amazing, super, super cool game because it detects the breathing patterns of the child. When you inhale, that bubble wand will come closer, fill up with bubbles, and then exhale will release the bubbles. The more you exhale, the more bubbles will be released. So basically, it really detects your breathing patterns. And then when you release the bubbles, you can pop them with your finger, and that's another great self-regulating activity. So we know that a lot of practitioners spend sometimes 15 to 20 minutes. We hear this from our clients on self-regulating activities. We provided super fun and engaging self-regulating activities that you can start with And again, the children are directed to activities according to the feeling that was detected when they opened the app and started their session. So then let's say all the kids are now regulated, they start their session. On the left, you can see the child's personal map. That's the map of Bring Alfie Home. There are 50 stepping stones, which means every stepping stone is either a session in clinic or at home. That's why it can be long or short term. If they're only practicing in the clinic, it's a year or 9 months. If they're practicing in the clinic and at home, it could be a shorter program, like 3, 4, maybe 5 months. So every time the child finishes whatever the practitioner set out for the child that day, Alfie takes one step closer to getting home. The really, really amazing part is what happens on the right part of the screen. You see there are different games a child can scroll through. The games can be chosen by the child, but they're all part of the child's care plan, according to the goals, their age, but, and this is a really amazing part, this is where AI works really, really hard on Korro, is it's also according to the child's current progress level, which means while the child is playing, that front camera is monitoring everything they're doing. Let's say right now that one of your kids did very poorly in midline crossing, gets a low score. Korro knows that's a skill that still has to be worked on. It'll suggest another midline crossing game or level for the next, not the next session, the next game coming up on those 10, 15 minutes that you're gonna be working with the child with. So it'll constantly provide the child the just right challenge, working on the skills that still have to be improved. So you don't have to, zip through the library every time and think and plan. So we're taking all that planning, no equipment is needed over here. We're taking all that time off your shoulders and letting Korro engage a child for the first 15 minutes. So what you can really do is take a brain rest. We hear this a lot from a practitioner saying, hey, I'm working back to back with like 9 or 10 kids a day, one coming in, one coming out. And then when we have Korro in the first 10 to 15 minutes, we can take a brain rest and make sure that the child is practicing, of course, the goals we want them to work on, practicing the skills we would have worked on anyway, but just by the use of AI. And then Korro will document all that and show that on a report with you. I'm gonna play all these movies together and just give you some examples of the different activities that we have. We'll start from the left. So like we said, BBB, right? Brain, body, and behavior. So the game on the left works on the body part is reciprocal bilateral coordination. The brain part, since we built this up as a maze, we work on things like timing, planning. These pop-ups that show up, that front camera detects the child is not performing correctly, so it'll correct them, which is amazing. It's like having that AI assistant correcting, like as an OT would correct the child as well. On the screen, the second screen from the left, we see a balancing game that works on different kinds of balancing and jumping skills. On the third screen from the left, we can see a finger isolation game that also works on working memory. And the last game to the right is a game that works on a lot of different executive functions. We work on planning, sequencing, working memory, self-monitoring. There are a lot of executive functions, and we have different games that work on the different skills. While these kids are playing those different games, that front camera is detecting all of the data that you see on the screen right now. I'm going to go to the next slide and just share all of that data with you. So this is what Korro sees. So remember that first slide with the child that I showed you with the 400 points on the face and the body. This is what Korro does with that data. It turns it into terms that all of us can understand as occupational therapists. So if we take a quick look, it can detect things like movement quality, endurance, reach height, balance, inhibition, working memory, self-monitoring, movement dissociation, skills that risk stabilization, skills that we'd be working on anyway in the clinic, but we'd be documenting them subjectively. We hardly have any objective data apart from when we do our evals. During the sessions, there's absolutely, and that's what got me hooked on Korro. When I started using this, it just opened my eyes to so many things. When I thought this child had attention problems, it was really, in some cases, I found that it was more of a problem with working memory. When I thought a child had difficulties, let's say with like low muscle tone, it was just one arm and not the other arm, things I could never see. And as practitioners, doesn't matter, like I said, I have 27 years of experience. Karen has more. I'm sure there are people on this call that even have 30 years of experience or more. None of us can see so many different skills and document them while the child's engaged in any kind of activity that is not an AI-based activity. So here is where your AI assistant is super, super helpful, documenting all of this. And then what does it do with this data? I'll show you in the next slide. But when you see on the screens that there are low scores, those are the next games that Korro is going to provide for the child. So if Korro knows a child has difficulties with movement quality or low endurance levels or challenge with balance, it's going to give them more of those games as they go along until Korro sees that the numbers will go up. So you don't have to do anything with this data. That's the great part. We want to save you as much time possible. So what we do is we sum up all of that data. We aggregate all of that data in just one screen. So whenever you click on the child's name, you'll get a breakdown of the number of hours or minutes they practice Korro in clinic or at home, the days they practiced. What's more interesting than the statistics over there is what you see on the bottom part of that screenshot. Here are the goals that you set as practitioners, and every time you click on the child's name, it'll give you the exact percentage of progress in that goal. Imagine adding that on to your SOAP notes at the end of a session, okay? Imagine how much data-based decisions you can make knowing, oh my God, I didn't even realize that this child improved so much in, let's say, handwriting, but the dressing still is hardly, we hardly scraped a 54%, and independence is shown 0% up until now. And if we want to look at the skills that we're working on, you just click on any goal, it'll break it down to the skills, and you can see where there's work that has to be done and where you can already start letting go of that skill and maybe adding on a new one. The great part is that we're hearing from our practitioners, let me just show you this over here, is that at the end of a session, they walk out with their phone into the waiting room. What caregivers or mom and dad are in the room is, hey, look at your child's progress. And this is amazing because it doesn't take up any of your time. It's there anyway. Anytime you click the button, you just share that with them. But we also have more elaborate reports. I'll show that in a second. At the end of a session, we write your SOAP note for you. So you just click end session and then put in any kind of support that you might have added during the session for the child. And then we'll write all that up for you. Whoops, sorry, don't know why that went back twice. Sorry about that. And we can also provide a much more elaborate report. This is a great example of a progress report that by the click of a button, download progress report. You can download a monthly report or a 2-month report. And this report can be shared with caregivers, insurers, IEP meetings as well. And it really gives you this amazing breakdown of every single skill that you've been working on with the child, plus a graph, plus a colored scheme bar that shows you green means the child's progressing every week, week by week. Orange means they've been stuck on a certain skill for 2-3 weeks. If there was a red one here, that would mean that they've been stuck for a month or more, which is an amazing, amazing report. And what most practitioners absolutely love about this report are 3 things. 1, they don't have to write it. Number 2, all of this data was collected from the camera, that real-time camera that was analyzing the child's, what we said, the 3 Bs, brain, behavior, and body, and then writes it all up in a report that would take us hours and hours. And I don't think any of us ever wrote a report like this, adding on the graphs and at the click of a button, and it updates itself. So a week from now or a month from now, this report's going to look different. You don't have to do anything, just download it. It's always the most updated report based on the current data. So I'm just going to sum up here with this last slide on the home program and then hand it over to Karen to talk about research. So Korro also has an amazing home program that creates a continuity between the in-clinic and home use. The child you see on the screen could be a child on a wait list, could be a child practicing in between sessions, the different Korro skills, and could be a child that comes into the clinic every other week due to insurance reasons, or maybe it's a rural area and they only come in once a month. Doesn't matter the reason. Child standing in front of the phone, they have their program set for them, but at home we have a really unique program. You see Alfie is in his room, the child is in their room. So at home you can continue your daily mission, the one you set up for the child in clinic, or children can decide just to use the self-reg activities. We have a lot of parents saying, hey, I use Korro mainly at home for calming my kid down before they go to sleep. Or we just had an amazing letter that was sent to us by a mother of twins saying that she uses it before dinner and she just cannot believe how relaxed her kids are before dinner, which is usually the most hectic time of the day in that house. Or we have special activities that are programmed more like movement breaks. So you have different options to choose from at home. And the beauty of it is that while they're practicing at home, all of the data is still collected, sent back to the practitioner. So all those reports that you saw are updated, and it doesn't really matter if you're with a child or not. So at home, it's an amazing feature that does not require the presence of an OT. And that's where we have the OT therapist, the OT AI therapist on their phone, working with the child. Korro will send reminders to practice every day. If the child doesn't open the app by 6 p.m., you'll get a reminder to practice. It'll also engage the caregivers. They'll send every week, the caregivers get an updated report on their child's progress. And it really helps explain the different OT skills and terms that we use to the parents in that report, that they receive that on a weekly basis. So I'm going to stop here, hand it over to Karen. That's going to talk a little about the research that she's conducting with Korro in the United States.
Ami, thank you. And if you could advance to the next slide for a moment. First of all, I have been an occupational therapist for 46 years, and never in my career have I seen a tool that can be used in occupational therapy that has been designed by occupational therapy practitioners that can really make a difference in the way we practice and can make a difference in addressing a lot of our pain points. So think about your pain points now and some of the things that Ami shared with you and how they could be addressed with using Korro. So I feel very fortunate to be conducting the research on using the Korro platform. Over 2 years ago, I was introduced to Korro, and just like I hope you're feeling here, it's an amazing tool. So I have been conducting research using clinics that are in Ohio, will be in Ohio, in Pennsylvania in particular right now, and that's at Capable Kids. It was a randomized control trial, a small one. We had occupational therapy practitioners, so the OT and the OT assistant were conducting the study. It was really important, as far as I am concerned, that the occupational therapy assistant, who in many cases is seeing the children in the intervention aspect, be part of the research. The randomized controlled trial involved having a control group where children had their regular occupational therapy weekly, and the occupational therapy practitioner sent home homework. And we do know about many children not wanting to do OT homework. And then the experimental group, the children were using Korro at the beginning of each session for about 10 to 15 minutes in clinic. And then their parents or care partners' mobile device was paired with the occupational therapy practitioner's device so that the child was able to use the Korro platform at home. The striking results for us was that the children using the Korro platform at home had a 400% higher adherence to doing homework. I think that's remarkable. And I did ask the OT practitioners about, how do you get children to do homework? And they said, we haven't been able to, but with Korro, we have. And what's been great for us is that the Korro app or platform is reinforcing the skills that we have been doing in the clinic. It was really great results. So we saw amazing adherence. Ami, could you go on to the next? We also use the Bot 2, which many of you may be familiar with. It's a tool, commonly used tool. And we did see bilateral coordination significantly improve within 6 weeks. We also used an observation tool, and it was the occupational therapy practitioner viewing the child, and they felt in this checklist that bilateral coordination indeed improved, just supporting the bot. And we saw improvement in finger isolation as well. If we can go on to the next one. So we've published that study. Allison Stover and I published it, and we can make a copy of that for you available. But I'm really excited about our current research. We are now in 6 clinics. We're returning to a clinic, Capable Kids, which Ami mentioned earlier. We will be in Maine. We're on Long Island in New York, in Kentucky, Ohio, and Chicago at clinics there. And we just started the study. We're collecting data. We're looking forward to having a much larger sample size. And stay tuned. We will share the data once it's analyzed in a published paper. So thank you. Ami, I'm going to turn it back to you.
Thank you. Thanks a lot, Karen. Okay, so we're pretty much towards the end of the presentation. We'll talk a little bit about getting started. I see some questions also in the chat and whatnot, and we received other questions about pricing. So let's just dive straight into that. Getting started is super easy. You can start today, you can start tomorrow. We've designed the onboarding process to be super, super fast and simple. Most clinics are fully set up and ready to go within a day or two. Pricing is based on the number of providers. We had some questions already in the chat that I was looking over. So, one of the questions was, does the whole clinic have to sign up? No, it depends on the number of licenses you want to purchase. So I'll just go over this quickly. The price is $750 a year. At your convenience, you can pay on a monthly basis. You can break that down into 12 even payments of $62.50. And that's if you decide to purchase anywhere between 1 to 4 licenses, which means $62.50 would be the price for one licensor per practitioner. The more licenses you purchase, the lower the price is for each license. Now, we do have a 10% discount. I'll go over that again on the last slide, a 10% discount for anyone attending this webinar, signing up in today or the upcoming days. So knock off 10% of everything you see on the screen over here. So for one license in a clinic, it would be somewhere around $55 or $56 a month. We highly recommend, if there are more than one practitioner, to sign up a few practitioners to start with, and then you can grow as you go along. What does that price include? It's a whole bundle package. First of all, it includes the Korro in-clinic license, which means everything I spoke about, Korro being a platform, all the games that you saw, plus more, with an unlimited number of clients. So once you sign up, there's no additional cost. So it's not a sign-up fee, and then you pay per client. This is what you're paying per month for an unlimited amount of use in client. So that package includes the in-clinic license. It includes the Korro at home as well. So you can assign Korro as a home program for as many clients as you want for no additional cost for the first year. And it also includes a Korro AI Occupational Therapy certificate program, which means it's a pre-recorded program that's equivalent to 13 contact hours or 1.3 AOTA preferred provider CEUs. So any of you who are clinic owners or paying for your practitioners, you can save a lot of money because 13 contact hours is quite a lot. And if your practitioner is paying for yourselves, they're going to be saving a lot of money that year as well. All of that is included in that yearly price. The instructors on the program are Professor Karen Jacobs and Allison Stover that she mentioned just before. So that's the bundle and the pricing. Now, just to sum up everything we talked about, and then I'll share a QR code of whoever wants to see more information or sign up. So basically, everything we talked about today were solutions that we provided for challenges that we heard from hundreds and hundreds of practitioners even before we launched the first version of Korro. So you saw on the presentation how we address data and how we help you collect objective data and not subjective data. Provide activities, super engaging activities for self-regulation. Use Korro to address wait lists, really giving you an edge on other clinics where kids are just waiting for, 6 months or a year and not doing anything. Kids in your waiting list are already starting their care plan. Help with practitioner burnout. Having your assistant work with the kids for the first 10, 15 minutes, giving you a breather. Home carryover that Karen talked about. I don't have to add anything else. It's an amazing home carryover program. and helping a lot with the documentation reporting, providing objective, like I said, objective data, all collected in real time. So for signing up, whoever is ready to register, you can please scan this QR code. If you still want to think about it today or tomorrow, scan the code so you have the link to our sign up page. When signing up, like I said, you will receive a 10% discount. That means whoever signs up, signing up is really, really easy. It takes less than 10 minutes. Just before adding your payment, it'll say add promotion code, and you can see the code on the top right part of the screen is called Next Level OT10. All in capital letters, just put that in and you'll see the price drop from, let's say, $62.50 to $55. And then once you finish signing up, next step is that our customer success team that currently all occupational therapy practitioners will receive an email that you signed up, and they'll already send you a link for your first onboarding training. You can train yourselves. We have manuals, tutorials, videos. You can do it on your own, but we know that a lot of people find it much easier to hop on a short call and get trained. That first call, 45 minutes, and you're good to go. That first 45 minutes trains you how to use Korro. It's that easy. And you can start using it right after that training session. And then we set up some more meetings with you with a little more advanced training. Once you start using Korro, you're going to have like kids who might need like some special attention or special settings. So we're there for you. Our customer success team will meet with you as much as needed until you feel that you have implemented Korro to its fullest in your clinic and at home. So that's all you need to get started. So please scan this code. And we'd love to see you in the really growing Korro family across the US. So now I'm going to start answering questions that were placed in the chat, and also leave some time for any questions from the people that are on the call as well. Okay, so I'm gonna leave the code here for whoever wants to still scan it. Is Danielle on? Hi, Danielle. Do you want to read some of the questions from the chat?
Hi, yeah. I introduced myself in the chat, but my name is Danielle. I'm an occupational therapist. I worked in the New York City school system. I see that there's another New York City school therapist here. Hi. I've been on the customer success team here for a year. I'm just going to read out your questions to Ami, and he'll provide an answer. One question that we got, Ami, is Korro something that a clinic owner or one therapist practitioner can trial, or do they need to implement it with their whole clinic?
Okay, so first of all, you decide on the amount of licenses you want. It could be a one user or more. We definitely recommend that if there are more than one practitioner in the clinic, then a few sign up. It makes it easier with the learning process and implementing it, but you don't have to have a whole clinic signing up in order to use Korro. You can buy one license for one practitioner and then grow as you go along.
Okay, so another question, interesting one. Why do you need a therapist for this? Yeah.
Okay, so first of all, there is, again, one, it is not in our policy to replace therapists, number one, okay? Number two, there are things that Korro cannot do, okay? Talk about like sensory or feeding, and things that you really need hand-on or touch or sensory input. We cannot replace therapists for everything, and we don't want to as well. We really want to add this on. So you will have an AI assistant. You will have access to objective data. Kids can get on therapy on their care plan much faster as well. So we're not replacing the therapist. And we do not see Korro currently as a tool or as a platform that is meant to replace a therapist for the duration of 45 minutes or a whole hour. We still feel that that human person or the human therapist is extremely important. I will say this as well. Nobody can download the app and use it if there's not a therapist on one side, which means if there's a parent or someone who wants to use Korro, they can go on the App Store, they'll see the Korro app, they'll download it, and it'll say enter password. They don't have it. The only person that can send a link with a password is a licensed Korro therapist, which means an OT with a license that finished the Korro training and signed up, of course.
And you'll also learn this when you join Korro, but when you create a program for a child, you a lot of times you've been working with this child already, so you have their clinical goals already, you know what they're working towards, and you just put in their clinical goals, and then Korro can tell you what skills to work on and then provide you the games and the data for those specific skills. Another question I saw about the wait list. So how does Korro address a wait list if that child hasn't already been seen by
so that's a great question. Currently, Korro is being used by a lot of clinics for children on the wait list. Just an example of a clinic I'm personally working with as the Korro manager for that client. And they have one practitioner overseeing 60 kids on the wait list, but all of the kids on the wait list did have an evaluation already, which means she was not the evaluator. She's not that child's practitioner. She's an OT that left from maternity leave, decided not to come back. And then but they really liked her, so they wanted to keep her on. And now Korro basically provided a new position for her. So she's like a data analyst going over their children's data. She's managing all the kids on the wait list. So she receives the children after eval, so she knows what the goals are and inputs the goals into the Korro program and sets up that program for every child on the wait list. And once every few weeks goes over the data and monitors their program. But even if we want to talk on a smaller scale, even if you have 10 kids on a wait list and one of your practitioners that's currently working with a caseload can also manage these kids with something like 10 minutes a week, not even. Just sign up, set up the program because you know what the goals and the skills are, and then the kids receive that link and they can work at home while they're on the wait list. Really, really easy.
One thing, does Korro address visual skills? There's a question that's several questions, but does it address visual skills? Can it identify neural pathways, like right, left brain activity?
Okay, so in the data, we don't differentiate the data in between like a left brain or right brain, but of course, all of our experiences were built by experts and regarding research and different studies that were conducted on left brain versus right brain, of course. So even in our like climbing games, and we work on different kinds of bilateral coordination, reciprocal, asymmetrical, symmetrical, we incorporate that into the games, but we don't differentiate that in the data output. And visual aspects, currently we work on different aspects of visual discrimination. If the meaning was ocular motor activities, that's something that's really in high level in our pipeline, and we're working on experiences. I personally right now I'm working on experiences that we will be adding on to our platform with visual aspects as well. Right now, the visual parts are more sort of like visual motor visual discrimination, visual motor integration activities that we do have, yes.
All right, so I'm gonna ask one last question, and then the rest of your questions you can submit to our support channel, support@korro.ai. What for the waitlist example, are the families paying privately for that service, or is it an insurance-based payment?
Okay, so that's a question. I didn't want to get into the finances, but if you asked, I will. Right now, Korro can be, I'm saying can be, since you're paying for the license with an unlimited amount of clients, you can use it within clinic and at home. We do know that some of our clinics bill RTM codes, which are remote therapy monitoring codes, because Korro is an RTM qualified device, because it's a device that RTM is remote therapy monitoring. It's a device where your care plan can be practiced at home remotely outside the clinic, and therapists can monitor it. So we do have clinics that are billing RTM codes in states where RTM codes are applicable for the home use and for the wait list as well. And we also have the option, clinics have the option if they choose to do so, to sell Korro as a private subscription at any price they feel reasonable. Right now, we heard from our clinics, the lowest price we heard was $15 or $20 a month. The highest we heard was $50. We do not interfere with that. We do not recommend to charge or not to charge. We help you build up that practice, but there are clinics where they decided not to bill insurance, but they don't want to give it out for free. So they set up a subscription plan and parents pay an additional $15, $20, whatever it is a month. And they receive the home program either on a wait list or at home for that price as a monthly subscription that they pay directly to the clinic. You don't share that with us. So that is an additional profit for the clinic, but that's up to the clinic. Again, you're not paying per child, so it's up to you to decide how you want to do that. We'll give you all the support and all the materials needed. Manuals for caregivers, brochures, whatever, we have all of that. But we do not decide if you're going to be paying or charging for it. Okay, so I know we reached our time limit right here. So first of all, I'd like to thank Kara. Kara, thank you so much for inviting us and hosting us. I'd like to thank everyone who took out the time. I hope you learned a lot. I hope this was an eye-opener about AI. I know what we hear a lot after these webinars is that a lot of people came in thinking, okay, AI is going to replace me. AI is super hard to use. I have to take courses on AI. And they were really surprised seeing that we're extremely focused around OT, all want to help kids. It takes about 45 minutes to an hour to learn how to use it. And it's really, really easy and fun to use. And I hope that I could relay all that to you. So thank you everyone for your time. And we'll try to address all the other questions you see on the screen right now. That's our support channel. So whatever questions we didn't have time to address, please submit to our support. Please scan the code if you didn't have time. And we'd really love to see you as Korro users. Thank you, everyone. Thanks a lot.
Thank you for joining us. And again, maybe we can have you guys come back in a month or two for an additional webinar. But I just want to put, for all of you that are on, it's really important that you, especially if you do have a private practice, that you think of all the different options out there, and adding Korro into your practice, can be something that can add an additional revenue stream into your practice, which is huge, whether you do it by the membership model or the RTM model. At our private practice event coming up next month, we'll be talking about both of those things, because as insurance payments are declining and insurance continues to be difficult to deal with, we're looking at, other different ways to help us keep afloat out there, plus provide better services for our clients, family, and everyone. So thank you guys. And yeah, submit additional questions. We'll send out the recording of the webinar as well. And you guys all have a great day.
Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.